Good morning, Coach. A few months into this new rev share model where the athletic department uh, pays the players, how has that gone so far, in your opinion? What's that implementation been like? Any challenges with that? Just your thoughts on that so far. Thank you.
Yeah, quite honestly, so far it's been pretty smooth. Like to be honest, I haven't since the season started and really fall camp, I haven't had to give it a whole lot of thought. I mean, I think the fact that it's set now. There are some parameters in terms of obviously just the procedure and how that plays out, and you're able to kind of get a lot of that done, obviously ahead of time before you get into fall camp and the season. It seems like everything's gone very smooth. I think give our athletic department a lot of credit. I think we were, prepared, organized, have handled that well, and I think that's made the transition pretty smooth. So yeah, it's not something that right now I'm having to deal with on a daily basis, which is music to my ears.
Ryan Kurchi.
Good morning, Lincoln.
Morning.
Uh, Dan's name has been brought up a lot in connection with the UCLA job this week after Deshaun Foster was fired. I guess I'm curious now that you've been in, you're in your second season with him, just how much you've seen sort of his impact really manifest in the second year.
Yeah, I think he's doing a really nice job, and I think this is, as we talked about, this off season, this is the first time, for him as a coordinator, even though it's his third season as a coordinator, it's his first time to do it 2 years consecutively at a place. And there's a big difference between year one where you're trying to implement versus year two where you're trying to really build and grow from that, both, as a coordinator with your staff, with the players. And so yeah, I think it's been a good challenge for him, and I think he's attacking it like he has, everything else. So we've got a really good staff around him. He does a good job leading the group. And I think he's getting more comfortable with kind of all things college football. Obviously, with such an NFL background, just like if one of us guys in college lifers, if we go work in the NFL, it's going to feel a little bit different to us. It's the same thing for somebody like Danton, whose career was mostly tied up in that league. And so I think his adjustment to college ball, and not just the game, but some of the things that go on outside of the game, the building rosters and dealing with players and kind of all of that. It's a little bit different than the NFL, and I think he's adjusting nicely, and obviously has made a really, tremendous impact in our program.
Do you expect him to be a head coach one day?
I think he certainly has the capability to, and I want our guys to be able to get those opportunities. And if, we have success, then people are going to get opportunities out of that, whether it's our players having a chance to move on and play in the NFL, or it's our staff members having an opportunity that jumps up that could help further their careers. So yeah, I'm always a proponent of that, and I certainly believe if Dan wants to be a head coach, that he would be a really good one.
Thanks.
Mm.
Haley.
Good morning. We've talked a lot about rebuilding the tight end room. Do you recall when the conscious efforts to do that really started to begin and what the specific areas you wanted to address were?
Yeah, Haley, pretty much in the beginning, we got a sense of what the room was when we came in the first year, and it's been a little bit of a slow build, and I think some of that is like just good tight ends are hard to find. I mean, they just are. You don't see that many each year, in my opinion, from high school ranks. I think it's from a portal standpoint, it's typically been like the least represented position group in terms of numbers and especially in terms of talent in the portal. I know offensively for sure, I feel that way. And yeah, I mean, just finding those body types that can do all the things that we expect of the guys in our offense is it's just not easy to find. And so it's definitely, taken some time. It's been a multi-year build, but it was something that pretty quickly when we got here and we got a chance to evaluate what was on campus, we were like, all right, we got some work to do here. We're not going to probably be able to play exactly the way we would love to play maybe here in the beginning, and that's going to evolve over time as we can build that room up. And yeah, from skill sets, I mean, I think it's the ultimate versatility position, in our offense, it's half slot receiver, outside receiver, inline tight end, kind of H back, full back. I mean, we've had guys in the past that position that had the ability to run the football. You got to know protections, route concepts, run game. Like you really have to know it all. So yeah, that's part of what makes it so tough to find and build. But when you get it, it can be a really powerful, positive thing for the team and for the program.
Do you have any theories as to why high schools aren't really turning out tight ends right now? Or like, has it always been that way?
Yeah, I don't know that it's any different. It's just they're just like God didn't make many of those people. Like I mean, like seriously, it's just like the general population. Like there's not that many people that are big enough and strong enough to, block like an offensive lineman, but nimble enough to, to go catch balls like a receiver and then smart enough to be able to process and handle all that. I just think it's more you're dealing with a limited group. And so in the last few years, there's been some really good ones which have helped. And so I'm confident in the room we're building. But yeah, I think it's just more just there's just not many of them out there.
Mark?
Good morning, Coach. It's hard to believe we're already a quarter of the way through the season, and after Saturday's game, it'll be a third of the way. Last year, one of the common narratives was this team's really close, and they were. This year, how close are you to meeting that your team's roster potential? I know you've been really working on that. How close are you right now to really feeling, all right, I got the type of roster I need to just keep moving forward?
I mean, I don't think there's any limits to what this current roster can accomplish. Um, I believe very, very much in this roster, and we've got to meet that and stay healthy and do all the things that you got to do to make a run. But I mean, this roster's capable of beating anybody. There's no question in my mind about that. No, we got to go do it. Um, will our roster be better next year? Probably so. Will it be better the year after that? Probably so. So I mean, I think I'm really excited about what this one can do, but it's hard when you see how we're recruiting and retaining and what we have now and all that. I mean, when you do look ahead, it's hard not to imagine it just continuing to get better and better, which is, if you're a USC fan, that's pretty exciting news.
Thank you.
Shotgun?
Hey, Lincoln, kind of following up on Haley's question, I was looking back through some of the data, and your offensive personnel has kind of shifted from a lot of 10 personnel to 12 now more frequently during your time at USC. Is that more reflective of just the roster and the roster dynamics, or perhaps more philosophical change, with being in the Big Ten now?
Think we would have tried to do it. I know we were trying to do it, whether the Big Ten thing happened or not. It's just I got a strong belief that you have to be able to run the ball, and I've got a strong belief that tight ends create mismatches that are tough to recreate with any other position groups. And so the goal is always to be that. Now, like some of the early years, and we'll have some years as we go on here where maybe that room's not as strong or another room's more strong, and yeah, we're gonna cater to that. Like you still got to do the best you can in the moment. But yeah, certainly, if I had my way about it, having a really talented tight end room and being able to use those guys in a lot of different ways is always where I would love to be. And we're going to continue to try to build that tight end room to be able to sustain that and to continue to grow throughout the years.
Connor?
Any update on Jacoby Lane's status for Saturday? Thank you.
Now we'll do the injury report tomorrow.
Ryan? Darren?
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
All good. How you doing, Ron?
Good, appreciate it. Wonder if you could talk a little bit about, Michigan State quarterback Aiden Childs, obviously a big threat with his legs, 130 yards on the season already, and not talking schematically, but just kind of how you can, as a defense, whether it's a roving spy, simulated pressures, kind of keeping contained in the pocket and sustain that for your defense.
Yeah, it's important. I mean, that's definitely an added weapon, to their system. They've already got a really good system with their ability to run the football, and the way that they play action and complement their entire offense is tough as it is. And when you add in, Charles's athleticism, that definitely adds an entirely new element. So it'll be a big focus point for us to be able to to keep him in the pocket, to contain him in there. Sometimes it's sacks, also sometimes it's just trying to affect a guy and make him feel our presence and being able to try to bottle him up, which is a tough task. He's a good athlete, he's a good thrower. You could tell it's now second year in the system, so you could tell he's looks certainly more comfortable as he's progressed, which we would all expect. So yeah, I think it's the biggest challenge that we've faced up to this point in terms of the quarterback and the offense and just how all those complementary pieces fit. So we'll have to do a really good job. We'll have to give them some different looks and really got to affect the game with our defensive front, which will be really important.
Thanks, Coach.
Mhm.
Ryan Carchi.
Hey, like with the 8 p.m. start time, obviously there's been a push to try to get USC fans to the game earlier, just kind of get them out there, just even knowing the difficulties of it being so late. And obviously in East Lansing, there it's kicking off at 11 p.m. local time. I guess I wonder, like, is this just sort of what you expected was going to happen when USC moves to the Big Ten, or is this maybe even a little bit more so having, creating some difficulties you might not have anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, I think the hope was that we were going to be able to severely, minimize these late kicks, both for us, our fans, both for the teams coming in here. And we have. I mean, obviously, we've had way less of these as we've gotten in the Big Ten. You would, probably prefer it to be at zero, but one's a lot better than three or four of them. And so I think we've made some really good progress there. But listen, both teams. It's kind of like us going to Purdue last week, like and the delay and all that. Like both teams got to deal with it. We got to handle it well. Our crowd needs to handle it well. Like at the end of the day, if it's a game, it's being played. It's being played in the Coliseum, and we expect to win, and we expect to have, a really good crowd behind us. And that's again, it's just we're not going to make excuses about it. I do think big picture wise, it has gotten a lot better, and hopefully that's something the league can continue to address.
Scott.
Oh, you muted,
Scott,
Scott.
you're muted.
It looked like a really good question, though, Scott. I cannot wait.
It was the best question ever, trust me. Can you hear me now, though?
I got you, buddy.
All right. Heading into the last game, because you sensed that the defensive line was ready to take the step forward that it appeared they made. And is there any other position group, offensively or defensively, this week you kind of feel might be in that same category?
Well, I think our D line is excited and is taking it, personal. The challenges that we put on that group in terms of, upping our performance and our impact on the game from the way that we played, last year. And so I think that group is really taking it personal and certainly when that group spearheading your effort, you like your chances. So, we need that to continue. We've really challenged the secondary, feel like that we can. We've made a lot of big plays here early on, which has been great. But we've also haven't played as clean as we know that we can play in the secondary from being on the same page. And I know, both Dan and I talked about this week, understanding the game and the leverages and just really tightening up on the details. So excited to see our guys in the secondary play here tomorrow night.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Keely.
Hi, Coach. I was curious from your perspective, what does it take for a fall enrollee like Tanook Hines to come in and not only transition to the football field, but also just college life in general and be a starter?
It takes a lot. I mean, I think it takes the first word that comes to mind is just maturity. It takes a lot of maturity to come in, move into a new place, like you said, start college, start learning an offense or a defense, a team, college football, all of that, and to be able to stay focused, just to continue to build at a young age is it's hard to find guys that have that mentality just right off the bat, combined with the athletic ability to help them succeed right away. But yeah, he's done a good job of it. He's still, he's going to continue to just get better and better as time goes on. But he's just such a steady worker and consistent practice player that you see the guy just making improvements every single week. So excited to see where that can go with him.
We'll wrap up with these last two. Eric.
Looking with the Floyd card, what do you recall of like your first impression of him when you first saw him as a recruit, and then when he got to USC, like when did it click for all of you guys that hey, this is the guy who's going to play right now for us?
Yeah, I think as a recruit, you could see the athleticism, the violence, some of the violence that he has with his hands. Pretty loose hips for a guy his size. So we were excited about that. We loved his kind of natural energy and juice and personality the first time we were able to get him on campus and spend some real time with him. Just thought he fit this program and this place really well. And yeah, and he's really done nothing to discourage that since he's gotten here. I mean, he's shown a natural ability to rush the passer from very early on, and a natural energy and competitiveness that allowed us to build some trust in him at a young age. So, yeah, another guy with a really, really bright future ahead. For him to be able to already make impactful plays for us, this early in his true freshman year is a great sign. And again, he's another guy that's just going to continue to get better and better, but cool that he's already impacting the game for us.
Mark?
Coach, I know you don't like to use it as an excuse, but sometimes the officiating hasn't been as good as it could be maybe this year. What's the communication process been with you and the league office trying to get some feedback on some of these phantom calls?
Yeah, we have the ability to send in each week calls that we have, questions on, whether you just have a question on how it was officiated or if we didn't agree with it. And then, the league's done a good job of giving us feedback. And I give them credit, you don't love when they miss one, but you know, for the most part, I feel like they've done a good job of owning up. Hey, we missed it and we have to be better, and there's always going to be a few of those. I mean, they've missed a few that we certainly don't think should be missed, but there's also been a few missed that they certainly could have called on us as well. So that stuff tends to even out throughout the year. I think for us, it's more about educating ourselves as coaches on how it's being called and doing a good job of educating our players so that we can, adapt to things that are not being called. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be called the way it's going to be called, and it's our job to got to figure that out and coach our guys up and play within those parameters as much as we can.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Awesome. And then before we close, it's time for Conquest Command, a question from the front lines of the Trojan Army. Our question this week is from content creator Ethan Inman. You can follow him on X at Journal Inman and on YouTube at USCVOCFB, USC at the Voice of College Football. Coach Riley, I'm sure that an important part of coaching is knowing the student athletes, not just as football players, but as people. How do you go about building a relationship with your players outside of football? And what is your favorite activity for team bonding?
Well, now that we've been here for a few years, I mean, that starts in the recruiting process with these guys. And I think a lot of the relationships are already, established before guys even come in the door, and then you just strengthen them as you go. And so, a lot of times it's impromptu things, just seeing a guy outside the hall or sitting down and visiting with somebody after practice, or I think, it's about just taking the time and being intentional. And we've got a fun group of guys it's fun to be around. It's fun to be able to get to know them, their families, their personalities. I think it's part of coaching them, and it makes what we do all a lot more enjoyable. My favorite activity with them, I mean, basketball would certainly be up there because our games get pretty competitive. And then I would say, honestly, the team meetings and fall camp because we typically have football business that we have to take to, but we also have some just kind of fun little traditions here that we do that are fun where, everybody gets to laugh a little bit, and it's just kind of you take ball out of it for a little bit and just have a good time, which is healthy for these guys. So yeah, we got some fun little traditions behind the scenes I think that we look forward to every year.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach Riley. Thank you, media. We will see you at the Coliseum on Saturday.